San, welcome to another deep dive. Imagine for a second just waking up tomorrow, stepping out your front door, and realizing your entire city has transformed overnight.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and we're not talking about, a new coffee shop opening up on the corner or just a fresh coat of paint on a billboard.
Right, exactly. The actual physical environment. I mean, the brutalist concrete buildings, the heavy public transit buses groaning under the morning commute, the sweeping coastal highways, even the teenagers rolling past you on rollerblades.
It's all been forcibly drafted into this living, breathing, moving canvas.
Yeah. It is no longer just the metropolitan grid you live in. Your city has become this relentless, vibrant engine of creativity.
Which is wild because it forces a complete psychological shift in how the public actually interacts with urban space. A person isn't just commuting from point A to point B anymore.
No, they're moving through an aesthetic experience, whether they bought a ticket for it or not. And that is the exact picture we are painting for you today.
It's a massive undertaking.
It really is. Our mission on this deep dive is to explore how a 30-year-old art festival uses the intense elemental metaphor of the forge to literally and conceptually redesign a major metropolis.
And as we dig into the actual mechanisms of how they pulled this off, we're going to extract the aha moments, like how contemporary African art is fundamentally rewriting the global cultural playbook.
To map out an event of this scale, we've got a fascinating stack of sources today. We are pulling primarily from the official comprehensive press book for the 14th Biennale of Contemporary African Art.
Right, commonly known as Dakar 2020. They were celebrating their 30th anniversary in Dakar, Senegal.
Yes. Now, full disclosure to you listening, we had a second source lined up to give you the ground level flavor of the city. It was a highly anticipated Nightlife in Dakar guide.
Oh, right, the guy.
Yeah, but when we went to open it, we hit a literal Cloudflare anti-bot security wall.
A rather unceremonious digital dead end, honestly.
So unfortunately, we can't tell you the secret password to the best underground club in Dakar at 2 in the morning. But honestly, as we dug into the press book, we realized we don't even need a nightlife guide.
No, you really don't.
The real electricity of this city isn't hidden in some exclusive nightclub. It's spilling out into the streets in broad daylight. So let's start with the conceptual engine of this entire operation.
Before we look at what this festival physically looks like on the streets, we really need to decode the philosophy driving it.
Right. The theme for this biennale is built around a Serer word, which is ndefa.
Yeah, the Serer language is widely spoken in Senegal, and that specific word translates to forge. And the festival pairs it with this crucial subtitle, Out of the Fire.
Okay, let's unpack this metaphor. Because when I hear the forge, I picture a blacksmith's workshop. Intense, blinding heat, sparks flying, a heavy anvil.
Very elemental, yeah.
If you want to forge a new tool or weapon, you cannot just take a cold piece of iron and bend it with your hands. You have to throw the old material into a roaring fire, melt it down until it is absolutely incandescent, and only then can you strike it to shape it into something new.
Exactly.
But how does a literal physical blacksmithing concept apply to curating a contemporary art festival? Are they essentially melting down old stereotypes of Africa to hammer out a new mythology?
That is a great way to put it. What's fascinating here is how the artistic director, Dr. El Hadji Malik Ndiaye, is using the forge as a framework for alchemy.
Alchemy. Okay.
Yeah, he frames this event as the transmutation of concepts to create a completely new autonomous world. And the key to understanding this alchemy is a specific goal they outline in the press book, the intentional rejection of traditional temporalities.
Traditional temporalities.
Yeah.
So rejecting the standard timeline of how art is supposed to evolve.
Put simply, yes. I mean, if you look at the linear Eurocentric timeline of classical art history, it operates on a very strict chronological set of rules. And African art was historically positioned by that timeline in one of two ways, either as ancient, primitive artifact, or merely as raw inspiration for European modernists to borrow from.
Like Picasso being inspired by African masks, that sort of thing.
Exactly. So by rejecting those traditional temporalities, these contemporary artists are refusing to be just a reactive subchapter in someone else's textbook.
They're throwing that old timeline into the fire and melting it down.
And out of that fire, they forge a self-determined reality. They are not reacting to colonial histories anymore. They are establishing a completely independent, forward-looking dialectic.
Which is incredibly powerful.
It is. And a massive component of that new reality is what the director calls restoring the creative body and gesture.
Let's break down that mechanism. What does restoring the gesture actually look like in the context of an art exhibition?
Well, it means shifting the value away from just the polished final product hanging quietly on a wall and placing immense value on the labor, the process, and the physical act of creation.
Oh, going back to the blacksmith analogy.
Yeah, right. When a blacksmith forges iron, the strike of the hammer leaves a mark. The sweat and the physical exertion of the creator are permanently recorded in the metal.
So the Biennale is prioritizing art that makes the artist's body and physical effort visible to the audience?
Yes. It is seen as an ongoing, active production, rather than just some passive relic sitting in a glass case.
So this conceptual fire, this intense heat of rewriting history and prioritizing physical labor, it doesn't just stay in the realm of academic philosophy. It spills out of the galleries and directly into the physical infrastructure of Dakar.
The logistics of how they transform the city are just wild.
There is a project detailed in the press book called Dakar,
Right, Dakar focuses on in situ works primarily along the Corniche Ouest.
which is this stunning, sweeping coastal road. They brought in select artists to create massive installations, specifically engineered for that coastal environment, integrating the art directly into the urban design of the seafront.
But they take it much further than just stationary statues.
Oh yeah, there is a mobility project called In Transit that completely hijacked the city's nervous system.
It is a phenomenal logistical achievement, honestly.
They took the visual identity of the Dakar Biennale, the vivid colors, the institutional emblems, the logos, and they basically wrapped the public transport network in them.
We are talking about the massive Dakar Demdik public buses, the AFTU transport networks, even private taxi companies.
They are completely covered in contemporary art.
Yes.
And they pushed out into the suburban areas too, places like Peking and Gateway, which sit outside the immediate downtown center.
Yeah, they erected giant connected digital screens in these neighborhoods to live stream the exhibitions.
And we have to mention the rollerbladers.
Oh, yes. The rollerbladers are the best part.
They organized squads of young people on rollerblades, dressed head to toe in the Biennale colors, physically weaving through the city's traffic. They became these moving human arteries, carrying the festival's visual identity through the streets.
It's so dynamic.
It is, but I have to stop and push back on this for a minute.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I commute on public transit. If I am crammed onto a sweaty, crowded bus in the middle of a brutal traffic jam on a Tuesday morning, I'm probably not in the headspace for high-concept contemporary art.
That's fair.
Fine art usually requires quiet contemplation to really absorb the mechanics of what the artist is trying to say. If you slap a complex piece on the side of a noisy bus or put it on a t-shirt behind a teenager speeding by on rollerblades, doesn't that just risk diluting the art into mere urban background noise?
You mean, does it just become urban wallpaper that exhausted commuters tune out?
Exactly. Or is this somehow the ultimate democratization of culture?
It's a really common critique, but we have to look at what this mobility project is actively dismantling. For nearly a century, the global standard for interacting with fine art has been the white cube gallery.
Oh, right. The stark, silent rooms where you feel like you aren't supposed to breathe too loudly.
Exactly. And the white cube is inherently structurally exclusive. It relies on a mechanism of separation. It demands that the public stop their daily lives, secure the free time and the means to travel to a specific elite location, and behave in a prescribed, hushed manner.
So the In-Transit project is a deliberate shattering of that white cube.
Yes. But does shattering the cube mean the commuter on that bus is actually engaging with the art, or are they just ignoring it in a different location?
Well, they can't entirely ignore it, right? Because the art is actively taking up their space.
It forces a daily visual confrontation. When you wrap a Dakar Demdik bus in a contemporary masterpiece, you are stripping away the intimidation factor of the museum steps.
You're telling the commuter in Gateway that this cultural heritage belongs to them just as much as it belongs to a wealthy international collector flying in for a private gala.
Exactly. So the goal isn't necessarily quiet academic contemplation. The goal is sheer ubiquity. It changes the power dynamic from you must prove you belong in this gallery to this art lives in your neighborhood.
And that really is the ultimate democratization of culture. The background noise of the city doesn't dilute the art. It becomes the required soundtrack for experiencing it.
The metropolis itself is forced to act as the gallery walls.
And as we look deeper into the press book, we see that the Biennale isn't just changing where the art is located. They are fundamentally expanding the definition of what qualifies as art in the first place.
Oh, totally. The ecosystem they've built is entirely multisensory.
It extends far beyond visual canvases and sculptures. It is wildly comprehensive. They created the Afroids show.
Right, which isn't just a food court for tourists.
No. They are systematically elevating African gastronomy to the level of fine art, placing culinary mechanics within the official context of a contemporary Biennale.
They also built a mobile cinema museum to project films into the hidden nooks of the city.
And they're actively seeding the next generation with educational workshops focused on graphic arts, led by renowned illustrators for local children.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, beyond the new programming, this specific edition also marks a major historical shift regarding the region's private art collections.
Yes, this was one of the most fascinating details in the sources. For the first time in the history of the Biennale, Senegalese private collectors agreed to finally open up their personal vaults to the general public.
It's unprecedented.
Why is that such a critical mechanism for the festival, though?
Well, historically, significant amounts of wealth and cultural heritage in the region have been kept strictly behind closed doors. Private collectors operate in silos.
Right.
By coordinating the opening of these vaults, the Biennale is facilitating a massive public reclamation of visual heritage. Masterworks that have been hidden in private living rooms and estates for decades are suddenly brought into the light,
Allowing the local population to finally see, study, and claim ownership over their own artistic legacy.
Exactly. It pulls that hidden history back into the public forge.
But, as much as we were talking about the romance of reclaiming heritage and multisensory cinema museums, there is a very rigid, pragmatic structural logic operating underneath all of this.
The festival is not just throwing a month-long party.
Not at all. If we look at the data provided in the press book from the National Statistics and Demography Agency, the ANSD,
The inclusion of raw economic data in an art press book tells you exactly how serious they are.
the ANSD conducted these detailed statistical works analyzing the financing, the economic opportunity niches generated by the Biennale.
And what those statistics reveal is a concerted effort to build a sustainable, permanent economic engine.
Let's look at the mechanism of how they actually do that, specifically through the Teranga Art Program. This program is heavily highlighted in the sources.
Yeah, it is designed to target official partners, parliamentarians, and institutional decision makers.
They are organizing these high-end gastronomic evenings and specialized VIP screenings. But how does throwing a nice dinner for a parliamentarian translate into an economic engine for the art world?
It is the strategic deployment of soft power. You cannot build a sustainable industry on passion alone. You need legislative backing and structural funding.
Right, you need money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By bringing the people who hold the purse strings into the fold, by speaking their language through targeted events like Teranga Art, the Biennale is actively lobbying for the arts.
They are demonstrating with actual ANSD data in hand that contemporary art is a highly viable, serious economic sector.
They are essentially proving their ROI, their return on investment, to the government.
Which makes total sense. They are professionalizing the art trades in Senegal. They are building secure international e-boutiques to ensure local handicraft creators can sell to the global market long after the physical festival ends.
They are deeply integrating the regional cultural centers into the economic loop, too.
The entire initiative is just a masterclass in leveraging a temporary cultural event to lay down permanent financial infrastructure.
Which perfectly sets up the final mechanism we need to look at: the massive gravitational pull this newly forged infrastructure has on the rest of the world.
Dakar is not just building a new reality for Senegal. This Biennale is acting as a global magnet.
The international presence cataloged in the press book is staggering and highly strategic.
Yeah, the guest countries invited for this 30th anniversary are Ghana and China. And the press book goes out of its way to note a specific statistic about China. They represent roughly 26% of the global art market.
Over a quarter of the entire world's art economy.
Now, a surface reading of that might just be, wow, China buys a lot of art. But what is the actual strategic insight behind bringing them in as the guest of honor?
The insight is really about bypassing traditional gatekeepers. For a very long time, if an African artist wanted to reach the heights of the global market, they were forced to route their career through the Northern Hemisphere.
They had to seek validation from galleries in London, Paris, or New York.
Exactly. By bringing China directly to Dakar, the Biennale is establishing a direct, highly lucrative southeast economic corridor.
They are looking at the traditional Western gatekeepers and saying, We don't actually need you to access a quarter of the global market. We are bringing the market directly to our own shores.
It completely rewrites the trade routes of the art world. And you see that same philosophy reflected in the roster of selected artists flying in.
The sources list an incredibly diverse cross-section of creators. People coming from Cuba, Brazil, South Africa, Belgium, Benin. The list is massive.
The inclusion of artists from South America, specifically Brazil and Cuba, highlights a vital curatorial concept driving this biennale. It's referred to as the Fluxus de Atlântico Sul, or the South Atlantic Flux.
The South Atlantic Flux. What are the mechanics of that cultural weather pattern?
It refers to the deep historical and deeply intertwined cultural currents flowing directly across the Atlantic between Africa and South America.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, by dedicating curatorial space to this transatlantic dialogue, the Biennale is mapping a modern cultural route that entirely ignores the Northern Hemisphere. It is the global South speaking directly and powerfully to itself.
It is literally recentering the map of the world, with Dakar acting as the prime meridian. Which makes me laugh again about our blocked cloud-flared nightlife source.
No, right, the club guide.
Why would you need a generic guide to tell you where to buy a watered-down drink in a crowded room when you have a globally connected geopolitical cultural collision happening right in the Place de l'Indépendance?
You really don't.
You have the South Atlantic Flux mapping new trade routes, mobile cinemas projecting in the alleys, and the economic heavyweights of the global art market walking the streets.
It proves a fundamental reality that the rest of the world is waking up to. Contemporary African art is not some niche regional movement. It is not an exotic subcategory.
No, it is a central load-bearing pillar of the global cultural conversation.
The ideas being forged in Dakar right now are forcing the entire world to respond.
The rejection of linear Western time, the systematic dismantling of the exclusive white cube gallery, the integration of high art into daily public transit.
These are not just local experiments, these are global mandates.
So, what does this all mean for you listening to this deep dive? Let's distill the core takeaways. The 14th Take Art Biennale is not an event you passively visit to look at pretty objects.
It is an active, roaring forge.
It is a massive logistical engine where the physical concrete of an urban space, the raw economic data of a nation, and the complex historical narrative of global identity are all thrown into the fire together.
They are melted down, the impurities of old stereotypes and colonial timelines are burned away.
And something completely new, economically viable, and entirely autonomous is hammered into shape.
It really provides a blueprint for how art can operate as the primary engine of a society, rather than just acting as its decoration.
It does. But it also leaves me with one final provocative thought. Some things for you to mull over or explore on your own after we sign off today. We have spent this entire deep dive talking about the intense heat of this forge.
The vibrant, chaotic energy of the festival.
The massive international crowds flying in, the art completely taking over the transit buses. But in blacksmithing, what happens after the striking is done? What happens during the cool-down period?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
When a month-long transmutational event of this scale finally ends, the installations are taken down and the international flights depart. How does a city like Dakar permanently hold its new shape?
Does the art leave a permanent ghost on the streets?
Does the commuter on the Dakar Dem Dik bus look out the window at their city differently, even when the digital live streams are finally turned off? It is something to think about regarding how the intense, temporary events we experience permanently alter our daily mundane landscapes.